All right, well, welcome back. Thanks for being with me.
It's my pleasure.
Dr. Chris Baglow. It's a pleasure to get to talk with you finally. I've been wanting to visit with you for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of your book, Faith, Science, and Reason, Theology on the Cutting Edge.
Thank you.
And I just heard from someone else that's here at the annual SCS meeting we're attending that you have another book that came out after this that's sort of a shorter version.
It's kind of the popular reader's non-textbook version of the textbook.
Okay.
So it's called Creation: A Catholic's Guide to God and the Universe.
Okay.
And
when was that published?
That was published in 21, Ave Maria Press.
Great. Well, I will have to get my hands on it.
Yeah.
I recommend your book all the time.
Well, thank you very much.
I'm really happy to hear you're doing more with that.
Oh yeah.
So let's go ahead and go right to the good stuff.
Yes.
Can science conflict with faith? Is it possible?
I think that materially, yes. Essentially, no. And what I mean is that materially, the conflict between faith and science occurs when assumptions that have been made, right, are actually demonstrated to be false. You might think about the talk we just heard about Eucharistic miracles, and how some things that have seemed to be Eucharistic miracles, it seems like were actually bacterial growth on hosts, right? If a person rested their entire faith on a Eucharistic miracle, right, then that would be a deep conflict. But that would be the wrong foundation for their faith in the first place, right? So that way, materially. Formally, I don't think they can. I think that science takes things apart to show us how they work, and religion brings things together to show us what they mean. I think it's as different as asking someone how music is played and what music means to the people who compose it, right? So that's, I think, at least in an elementary way, why you could never find those two things in absolute conflict.
So like Stephen Jay Gould and his non-overlapping magisteria is one model that's kind of mentioned sometimes.
Yeah, but I'm not a fan of that one.
You're not. So explain a little bit more about
Well, because think about the music thing I just mentioned. I mean, music is the same reality. The person talking about what it means and the person talking about how it's played are talking about one reality. I think Stephen Jay Gould goes a little bit too far into compartmentalizing faith and science. Like they have nothing to do with each other because they're talking about two utterly disparate things. Now, at least that's the way he comes off. I've looked a little bit closer, and I think he's a lot more compatible with my perspective than it comes out. It's just some of the ways he expresses it, right?
Sure.
So that would be like a separationism. And I don't think that works for Catholics, because for Catholics, faith has factuality in it. Like Jesus really did rise from the dead. There was a time and a place where that happened. Excuse me. And I think that you can't get this kind of neutral factuality. Facts have value and meaning too, right? So, yeah.
Yeah. It seems to me like there, in terms of, the things that you have to believe as a Christian and a Catholic, that there are not a lot of requirements of what we must believe that also have a scientific element to them. There's very few things like, for example, if someone were to come and say, well, we've identified the body of Jesus, we found it, and there was no resurrection. That would be a scientific claim that could have potentially really big implications for the faith.
Absolutely.
But there's very few cases like that, wouldn't you say?
But those areas, that's very small. Like those areas of overlap, I don't think we would say in that case ultimately science would defeat, or rather in general science can defeat faith just because of that particular example.
But in general, you would say Catholics really ought not to have any sort of anxiety about scientific claims coming into conflict with their faith.
Absolutely.
You should have the kind of confidence that,
I think,
be open to the data and don't worry, don't stress about it.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And I think that for people who are at least essentially open-minded, who haven't settled themselves into kind of a rigid creationism which rejects science, and I actually find people who tend towards atheism, scientism, materialism, to be more open-minded than the first group, then I do find that confidence about the relationship between faith and science and their reciprocally enriching nature
Yes.
is one of the most effective ways to represent it. Like
Yeah.
I know from my own students at Notre Dame, of course there are many Catholic students at Notre Dame, but they're not all, right? They get pretty fascinated when they find out, looking at these two things as being a conflict is to misunderstand what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The perspectives on reality that they have.
So, a particular interest of mine is evolution.
Yeah.
And I know you're also really interested in this.
Yes.
Especially based on the things that we just talked about. So, maybe just in general, what are some interesting areas of, we'll say, apparent conflicts that can arise with
Sure.
evolution and the faith?
Yeah.
And what do you think are just the most interesting topics that come up when discussing evolution and faith?
One of the most interesting is this idea that the chance element in evolution makes it utterly incompatible with the idea of divine providence, divine creation, divine purpose for things. I think that is simply a matter of people thinking that chance means what we don't understand, right? So we oftentimes look at things and we say, well, this is a matter of chance, right? But that very often means we don't really know what the explanation is for it. A better definition of chance, which I find people pretty readily accept, would be the way Thomas Aquinas defined chance or contingency. When you have two or more different causes intersecting in some way to bring about some effect that neither of them or none of them could bring about on their own. And I think that's once you say that, you realize, well, that could be a way in which God operates in the world, not showing us that God doesn't operate in the world.
Yeah, and that also relates to questions about randomness.
Yes,
right.
right,
And
right.
And I guess the analog to this would be, well, if you think that, then the existence of rolling dice, disproves the existence of providence. Then.
Right. Yeah. Well, think
thing.
about this. So when you talk about randomness, you cannot define anything as random without demonstrating how it departs from something you do understand as ordered, right?
Right. It's
So
intelligible.
randomness can only be understood in regard to things that are orderly, that are predictable. If that's the case, then this idea that everything is completely random, which is how it is often expressed by those who want to talk about evolution in a way that rejects faith. You can't have anything completely random, right? It's this randomness is only detectable within a larger schema or order that's intelligible, that we can understand. Yeah. And you could say, from the other perspective, and I try to do this in the book, as you probably know, is that if the universe was algorithmically ordered in such a way that nothing could depart from it, if we lived in an utterly deterministic universe, then we would have no human freedom. Things could not develop freely. You know what I mean? That if God is love, God would want a universe that is ordered in such a way that it can flourish, but open in such a way that it can develop in new and surprising ways.
Yeah. Great. So last words then, any final message to any viewers about the harmony of faith and reason that you'd like to end with?
Sure. It's John Paul II's great quote. Science can purify religion from error and superstition. Religion can purify science from idolatry and false absolutes. Each can draw the other to a wider world where both may flourish. I could never say it better than that.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Great. Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure visiting
with you. Thank you,
with
David. It was great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, let me ask you one more question.
Yeah.
This will be like bonus round material.
Okay, sure.
What does Kurt Gödel's incompleteness theorem have to do with faith and reason?
Well, I didn't include it in the second edition of the book.
Oh, okay.
Because I felt like, do you have the second?
No, I don't. I have to get it still.
All right, we need to take care of that. All right, let's go back to that. I'll answer the question.
Okay.
The incompleteness theorem is just that Gödel demonstrated that any mathematically consistent system involves at least one or more mathematical truths that it relies on, it assumes, but does not demonstrate. And then he developed, and it's far beyond me as to how you do this, but he developed a way of finding those, a mathematical way of finding those. But he also, the fact that he could find those, and the fact that he showed that human beings could demonstrate those things to be true, in another way, demonstrate something about the human mind, that it's not simply just a computer. Right, yeah.
Okay, great. Well, I just thought I'd try to throw you a curveball there at the end. So
Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot. This was really fun.
Excellent. Yes,
Thank
indeed.
you.
Here you go.
All right.